Todd Grimshaw may finally get a chance to break free from his abusive partner, Theo Silverton, in Coronation Street. After enduring months of emotional and physical mistreatment, including Theo controlling his money, insulting him in public, and even standing by while Todd's close friend Billy Mayhew died, Theo has now left him. Although Todd reached his limit last year, he broke down again in yesterday's episode, begging Theo to end his suffering and use the knife he was pressing against Todd's chest. The tense moment followed a chaotic dinner at the Viaduct Bistro. During the meal, Todd demanded that his broke partner pay for their food, along with the meals ordered by their friends Gary Windus and Maria Connor. When Todd realized he couldn't cover the bill, Theo stepped in to settle it before returning home furious. Once back at the flat, the situation escalated into a fierce confrontation. In a burst of anger, Theo started hurling coffee, milk, mugs, and spoons around the kitchen. In the latest episode, Gary later spotted Theo sleeping in his van. Theo had stormed out the previous night, leaving Todd behind to clean up the mess, which caused Todd to miss his shift at the Undertaker's. Theo casually told Gary that their fight had been about money, prompting Gary to step in and try to help resolve things. Gary then went to the flat above the corner shop, where he was shocked to see Todd angrily fling a blender across the room. After calming him down, Gary and Todd shared an emotional conversation in which Todd admitted he still hoped they could repair the relationship. Todd explained that when things are good with Theo, they feel wonderful, but when things turn bad, they become unbearable. Having become deeply trapped in the cycle of abuse, Todd still clings to the belief that Theo could change and be a better man. After hearing this, Gary relayed the conversation to Theo, who decided it was time to be honest. Theo told Todd that their relationship was beyond saving and that perhaps they should finally accept it was over. Removing his engagement ring, Theo quietly placed it aside before walking out the door, leaving Todd devastated. Now the question remains, will Todd finally find the courage to reveal the abuse he has been suffering? Coronation Street will show George Shuttleworth falling deeper into despair next week as the smear campaign against him intensifies. As Annie's accusations continue to spread, the future of the family's funeral business could be in serious danger. Earlier this year, The Undertaker was stunned when a recently deceased client left him a large amount of money in her will. However, the woman's daughter, Annie, believed George had manipulated her mother in order to inherit the cash and even attempted to report him to the police. Although the authorities eventually dropped the case, Annie refused to let the matter go. She is now threatening legal action and has begun damaging The Undertaker's reputation by warning potential clients about George. Later in the week, the situation becomes worse when Theo Silverton deliberately spreads lies, claiming he received terrible service from George, further harming the business's image. In scenes airing on Monday the 16th of March, George grows increasingly anxious as the accusations against him continue. Worried that his good name and career are at risk, he begins to lose hope. At the same time, Todd Grimshaw is also feeling miserable following his recent breakup with Theo. Both men spend their time at the Undertaker's looking gloomy and lacking motivation. Their low spirits don't go unnoticed by Christina Boyd, who quickly interrupts their self-pity. She bluntly tells them they need to pull themselves together if they want to improve their situations. The big question is whether they will take her advice or allow the gloomy mood to continue dominating the workplace. A Coronation Street insider explains, "The atmosphere at the Undertaker's becomes extremely tense. Christina feels frustrated seeing George and Todd acting as though they've lost all hope. What she doesn't realize, however, is the painful ordeal Todd has been silently dealing with behind closed doors." Tuesday's episode of Coronation Street, March 10, brought a dramatic turning point for Todd Grimshaw and Theo Silverton as their troubled romance finally collapsed after months of tension. Following another heated argument and an emotionally exhausting night, Theo ultimately decided he had reached his limit and called off their engagement. What seemed like the end of their relationship, however, is only the beginning of a more complicated storyline. The next morning in Weatherfield began with chaos as Todd surveyed the damage left behind after Theo's birthday celebration. Their flat was a complete mess, but the real devastation was the breakdown of their relationship. Feeling exhausted and noticing Theo was gone, Todd phoned George to explain that he wouldn't be able to come into work. What George didn't realize was that Todd had faced a terrifying moment just hours earlier when Theo threatened him with a knife during their argument. Soon after, Gary arrived at the flat to collect some clothes for Theo and quickly noticed Todd was visibly shaken. Hoping to ease the situation, Gary revealed that Theo had spent the night sleeping in his van. Later, Gary tried to play mediator and encouraged the former couple to talk things through. Todd apologized for grappling with Theo the previous night in an effort to calm things down, but Theo's reaction remained distant and cold. Theo admitted that their relationship had become deeply toxic and blamed Todd for much of his unhappiness. The moment that sealed their breakup followed soon after. Theo removed his engagement ring, placed it into Todd's hand, and said a final, cutting farewell. Goodbye, Toddles. Although it appeared to be the final chapter for the couple, upcoming scenes suggest the drama is far from finished. Despite ending the relationship, spoilers indicate that Theo is not ready to let Todd move on so easily. From the privacy of his van, Theo begins secretly watching Todd and slowly escalating his behavior. At the same time, tensions are already running high at the Undertaker's. George is furious about the ongoing smear campaign against him, while Todd struggles to stay composed when Theo arrives to collect the last of his belongings. Christina attempts to step in, offering firm advice and urging both men not to let the situation spiral further. Later, Sarah takes Todd out for lunch in hopes of cheering him up, but the outing becomes awkward when Todd spots Theo nearby, sitting with another attractive man, leaving him feeling completely crushed. Back on the street, Glenda encourages Todd to forget about Theo and start dating again. Taking the advice seriously, Todd tells Theo they should both move forward with their lives. Theo, however, clearly has other intentions. At the Rover's return, he deliberately flirts with Sean right in front of Todd, hoping to provoke jealousy. When Todd casually mentions that Glenda has already arranged a date for him, Theo is visibly unsettled by the news. Todd soon leaves to meet his mystery date, while Theo later joins Gary for birthday drinks. Even though he appears to be enjoying himself, his cheerful attitude feels forced. Theo then drops another surprise, telling Todd he is thinking about accepting a job in Belfast, suggesting that leaving Weatherfield might be the best way to move on. Todd is clearly devastated by the revelation, while Theo seems quietly satisfied by his reaction. However, the storyline takes a dark and troubling turn in the final moments. While Todd's back is turned, Theo secretly slips something into Todd's drink. With jealousy clearly driving his actions, viewers are left wondering just how far Theo might go in his quest for revenge.